I think that it's important to take a long-term view, which does not mean just spend as much money as the universities want on everything they want. I do think that being forced to think strategically about how you're going to spend the resources you have can be a good thing, and can actually force universities to think carefully about what they're doing. And so I would not be opposed to any reduction anywhere. But I think that if there is a wholesale cutback or elimination of funding for research and education, the region and the country will suffer in the future. It is true that in a time of economic difficulty, companies cut back on all forms of investment, whether it's new factories or research leading to new products. That's part of a cycle that does occur, and it's happened before. If it doesn't go too far, companies can then recover in the next part of the cycle. But at some point, if there is no investment in new products and new technologies for a long period of time, it will make it that much harder to emerge from the crisis with increased sales and revenues. The economic evidence is very clear that the success of a city or a region or a country, again, over a relatively long period of time, not over months, but over years, is crucially dependent on the education level, the skill level, the ability level of the workforce at large. And it's not just a matter of having a handful of scientists who are really smart and can do all kinds of things. It really does depend on the general level of education and ability of the workforce at large. And a city or a region or a country that does not have a workforce that has the education and ability level to do 21st century work is not going to thrive economically in the 21st century. And I think universities, it's not just up to universities, it's also a matter very much of the education in the lower levels of the educational system. But I think universities have an important role to play in making sure that the workforce has that level of training and ability. On the university side, it is important that both the individual faculty and the institutions, the universities and the departments within the universities, have incentives to think about commercial development of their research and their ideas. Because if there's no incentive for them to do that, they're not going to bother. They're going to do their regular business. So whether those incentives are financial or some other form, there has to be a reason why both at the individual level and the institutional level, the universities have an interest in, for example, starting companies or developing commercial technologies. But at the same time, from the outside, there has to be the commercial mechanisms for that to occur. So that requires finance. In the United States, we have a very highly developed system of what's called venture capital, which is basically small companies that collect money from individual investors and then invest it in these small startup companies, which is a very risky investment. But they do it, they invest in many companies and many of them fail, but they make enough money off the few that are a big success that it's attractive. And so that finance mechanism is important. Another thing that has developed in the United States is literally physical locations for new firms to start. So we sometimes call them technology parks. Either the university or a local government will acquire land near the university, an office building, and make space available for startup companies where they can be close to the university, close to the faculty whose ideas they're using, but at the same time have interaction with other companies and with sources of financing and so forth, so that the companies can grow.